I'm trying to get back on topic here. But as I said, so here Native people stood together against private security, brought attacked dogs, men, women, children attacked the horses, um, who were standing up for the earth. This is what these people are protesting: destruction of the earth, not just their water, but water for all time, for the future. But these people are saying, "You're destroying sacred sites. Please stop." This is all they're saying. Peaceful protest. And Friday, I think it was Thursday or Friday of last week, it was reported that the National Guard was to arrive at Standing Rock. The National Guard literally send in the cavalry. And who do you think that cavalry was going to protect? Not the people, not those who, for 500 years, despite being murdered, raped, having their children stolen from them, forced sterilizations on women, beaten for speaking their own language. Yes, your government did this. It's supposed to be a terrible thing when ISIS, as it comes across the news, destroys ancient sites. You've seen it in the news. They'll destroy this temple, that temple, or a different place of worship, 1,000 years old or whatever. But it's perfectly fine to do this as long as those destroying them are funded by Wall Street. Yeah, hypocrisy. Welcome to America. What would you do if ISIS was able to attack America in this manner and kidnapped and raped your children, murdered your family, beat your children for speaking English? Again, for sterilization on women. Exactly. Exactly. If this happened to you, you would all rally and say, hell yeah, America, let's get. Well, not that everybody, has that Kentucky accent, but but people would rally. You would forget about your, piddly little daily problems and realize you need to protect your homeland. But did natives have a chance to do this? They could have, except they were lied to and said we come in peace. But anyway, so if ISIS were to do this, you would understand. You would absolutely understand. But Native Americans, they've all the crap they've had to endure all this time, 520 something years. Here they stand at Standing Rock, trying to save, of all things, water for future generations. You see, while this happens to be on a reservation, the message they are saying here today is that all these things must be protected the world over, not just on, quote, their land. As it was, told to me back at Leech Lake, this has been over 10 years, a very respected elder who told me so much about Ojibwe history. Said that when the Creator put people on the earth, that it was the red race, it was the red people, were the only ones who, when being placed on the earth, turned to ask the Creator, "What will you have us do?" While the others just, literally, it's like dropping a handful of people on, the earth, and they all scatter about to go do what it is they're going to do. Yay, it's a playground. The earth is a playground. But it was the first people were the only ones to go back and say, "What will you have us do?" And their job is to be keepers of the earth. Now, earlier I mentioned the words the white way, and technically race has nothing to do with this. It just so happens that it's white people who seem to have, who, no, they don't seem to, they have absolutely less respect for the earth than Native Americans. I mean, what is your knowledge of Native Americans? I watched an episode of Modern Family, and the guy that plays Cam, his name escapes me at the moment, but he was given this class. He was doing this class as a substitute teacher, and he was talking about Native Americans. And one of the things he mentioned is that they cry when they see garbage. Of course, he's referring to that 1970 something commercial. That actor, Native American, I can't remember his name either. But yeah, look it up on YouTube. So this Indian, and again, I'm going to use Indian. I shouldn't have said that because again, this was never India. So this Native American, and technically they were here before America was called America. So the indigenous, the first people, and there is a reason for that term. The first people. Um, oh crap, lost my spot. Okay, so yeah, he sees garbage and he's crying. This is his knowledge of Native Americans, and that's really true about a lot of people. A lot of people think they know Native American history, but they have no clue. I mean, hell, they think the Indian Wars stopped in the 1850s. Well, they never stopped. They just used different tactics. But yeah, trying to stay on topic. But they're saying we need to stand up for sacred water, sacred life-giving water, the entire world over. They're not just complaining about their reservation. We all need to listen. But I tell you, again, what I see is a group of people actually willing to fight for what they believe and not just sit around whining and trying to vote for the lesser of two evils for president. I cannot stress enough my respect and admiration of a people who actually succeed, who actually, as I said, are willing to fight for their rights, not as Native Americans, but as a people. And you got to stop and wonder, why are we having to fight for the right to everything the creator? And I've said this before. Creator says, "Here you go. Here's life-giving, air, life-giving food, life-giving planet, life-giving water, life-giving everything, and we have to fight for it, and we have to pay for it with little green pieces of paper." There is something wrong with the system when somebody gets in control and makes you have to pay them for what your God, no matter what your race or what your religion is. All religions have, they have a supreme being. It doesn't matter if you worship, the creator as the creator or a head of lettuce. It does not matter. And the reason I use head of lettuce is because I'm actually talking about a TV show back in the 70s and 80s. There's an episode of What's Happening when, one of the characters, decides he's going to follow this, this earth-based religion, and they worship a head of lettuce. Of course, in the show, they point out that it's a scheme, a money-making scheme, because you're not supposed to have your own money. You give it all to the, the religious leader. But even that religion of worshiping a head of lettuce has a supreme being. And your supreme being gives you life. But we live in a time where you have to pay to get your water. You're not allowed to go to a creek and just get your water. Why? Because it's polluted. You're not allowed to. I mean, just it's a bad system. It's a bad system to have to pay. You're paying your government for the right of to life that your creator gave you. You got to wake up and see what's going on. But we've been so dumbed down into thinking this is the way. You go to school, learn only what they want to teach you. So as again, you're a slave to capitalism. You go to college, you choose a profession, you work. But there was a time when when entire generations of people, yes, way before our time, were able to survive and thrive on the knowledge of Earth. What to hunt, when to hunt. They worked together as a community. I got to tell you, when I was back at Leech Lake, before my wife had gotten a job at a casino, we had zero money. But we did not starve at all. Being white. And there are people there who see beyond the color of skin. There are. But every race has a racism issue against other races. Saw it in Pine Ridge before they got to know me. Went into a store there, native-owned store, and my eyes were opened to what they call reverse racism, in which I'm in the store and they're kind of, paying attention to me to see what I'm going to steal. And I kind of think it's warranted just a little bit, considering, the what whites have done. I kind of think it's warranted. But then once they got to know me, we were all, cool. But you can't blame them. Once you really know what whites did, you can't blame them. Now, I'm not saying you don't have to live your life and be, apologetic because you didn't do it. I didn't do it. But you've got to have a degree of compassion, just like with slavery. Hell, look at the Irish. Same thing. China. Those workers. Same thing. Victims of the white way. Again, it has nothing to do with skin color, but a mentality. Because I know people of all races who adhere to the white way. But anyway, I keep bouncing off of this. But as I said, Standing Rock protests. They were not making their way into mainstream media, our news outside of here. But it wasn't long ago that our local news, WLEX Channel 18, had shared a news story from some newspaper in North Dakota, I think. And the article, in the article, it was mentioned that the protests were costing the government of North Dakota about $100,000 a week. $100,000 a week. And that the governor, Jack, and I'm going to try this, Dalrymple, Dalrymple, was having to pull funds from various emergency accounts or emergency funds just to pay the police and whoever else money for all the overtime that was generated. Now, that's a lot of money to spend on a peaceful protest. They weren't doing anything violent. I mean, you send in the cops. I mean, okay, yeah, you know how it can get. Look at Wounded Knee in the 70s, and again, that's another issue. People stand to fight for indigenous rights, and technically they shouldn't have to stand for indigenous rights because we are people. We are all one. That's what they're standing for. The rights to be alive. Some of these same people say abortion is bad and abortion's illegal and it's a sin and, but under the guise of Christianity, do you know how many natives were murdered? I'm going to actually, and I keep bouncing back to that because there's a very particular part I wanted to talk about the American genocide. The American